You either use the internet for fun or you use the internet to grow. You're here to grow. Welcome to TRS Clips. Do you want to talk a little bit about where the warrior culture began?
It's a myth, partly. Part of the Indian narrative is that myth. I think it suits particular ideology. I can share the phrase with you if you want to talk about it.
Don't you think it's a good...
No.
Like, what is wrong with being a warrior?
Nothing. But we are not just warriors. I just said that.
Okay, it's like, I think...
We have our own just war theory. It's Guru Gobind Singh who wrote it. This will shock you again. I'm interested in what he writes because everything else is spinning, or my understanding. He says, he writes to Aurangzeb. Guru Gobind Singh wrote a letter to Aurangzeb. It has 2 copies of it. One is in Aurangabad, where the copy was made, and he, by Daya Singh, one of the 5 original 6 Panch Pyare, as we call them, he took it to Aurangzeb. Yeah. There's a quote in there. He's like, we will try every other method. And after exhausting it, we'll pick up the sword. Now, it's Guru Gobind Singh writing. This is our just war theory. And the reason I'm saying this, in Christianity is the first religion which came up with the just war theory, which never happened during the Jesus time. St. Augustine did that after hundreds of years. But here, Guru Gobind Singh is telling us. And what did he base it on? Because gurus lived like that. That's why Guru Nanak didn't fight with the sword. Because we believe we're going to try everything else. By the time Guru Arjan came, Guru Nanak was imprisoned, as I mentioned to you. Guru Arjan is imprisoned and tortured now. Guru Tegh Bahadur, political assassination attempts. A guy named Shiha was hired to assassinate him. Eventually, he's martyred in Delhi. Guru Gobind Singh is fighting battles. He's also target of political assassination. This is pretty bloody, right? But even then, when he writes this, because it's been demonstrated that we can take everything, but don't think we can't fight back. We will fight. This happened in 20th century. I want you to know this under the British too. Those Gurdwara reform thing I was talking about, freeing the Gurdwaras. There were Akalis. Akalis is not a party. I know it's a political party today. Akali meant active Sikhs. Akali, Kali, which means beyond death. The ones who have married the death, which means they're not afraid. It's okay if they die. When they went to free the Gurdwaras, and there's a Morcha, Jatho da Morcha it's called, there are pictures and the evidences for this. C.F. Andrews has written long articles on it. He says, the day they would do Ardas, that today we are not fighting back. That's the day policemen under the British beat them to death. And they did that for days. Because Sikhs, Ardas is very big. When we do collective prayer, we're supposed to stand by whatever we have said. And this is throughout our history, including what happened in the Darbar Sahib complex. That's why they don't leave. Because they did an Ardas, we will die fighting today. That happened in 20th century early. Akalis did this. But the day that happened for like 2 months like that. And then one day they did an Ardas. Today we are coming back with swords. That's the day we got the Nankana Sahib back. So I like to say, to present it, there's a non-violence of the weak. And there's a non-violence of the strong. We are the non-violence of the strong. We can kick your ass. Yeah. But we're going to do that as a last thing. Yeah. Don't think that I'm not capable. I'm fully trained. I'm going to restrain myself because I believe in exhausting all means.
Do no harm, take no shit.
Something like that. That's one contemporary way to say it and makes a nice t-shirt slogan.
Coming back to the question I asked you though about the warrior culture thing, I think maybe that angle has possibly been used as negative PR for the community, saying that, oh, these people are angry.
Yeah.
They're like warriors. And that's what the Sikh community is pissed off about. Listen, no, we're not angry people. It's actually this spiritual warrior mentality.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying this? Okay.
But I think let's build on it because वो पूरा clear नहीं हुआ अभी, है ना?
Build on it through the story, sir.
Sure.
Because again, teenagers watching this, and I can go with you at like really high levels, but let's go to the core of the human.
Okay. So, the most popular image of the Sikhs these days for last several years has been when you see Nihangs, for example, very colorful, and you got this warrior image, you see Kirpans and the Khandas, right? And that's the thing, that they are the warriors tradition of the Sikhs. I want to step back a thing and tell you a little story. So there's a 9th Guru. We have talked about some of the Gurus. I'm going to come to the 9th Guru. There's a 9th Guru. His name is Guru Tegh Bahadur. He's politically beheaded in Delhi in 1675, 76 maybe. Okay? For political reasons. What happens in the narrative is we don't tell what happens after that. We do tell this, that this happened, Aurangzeb had ordered it. But what happened after that? It's not that all of a sudden warrior class started. We actually fought battles before that too. Sixth Guru fought 4 battles, including 3 against Jahangir. Guru Gobind Singh fought 21 battles. Only 3 were against Mughals. Yes, 19 were against Hindu hill chief Rajas.
Really?
People don't know the realities. So I want to talk about how this warrior myth came, right? It is a myth. So Guru Tegh Bahadur is assassinated, literally. We call it martyrdom, but politically it's assassination. Ordered to death, just like you see in Middle East even now. Public beheadings. And then there is 1699. So almost 23 years of period where before Guru Gobind Singh brings out the Khalsa, as we say, as a warrior image. Again, it's skewed. It's not just warrior. But I want to talk about what did he do in those 23 years? And people don't talk about that. And I want to talk about it. He's like, we need training. The next levels of training. He did poetry in Anandpur Sahib and Paonta Sahib, which is now in Himachal, and multiple places. Let's train ourselves in how to be great poet. That's why he had 52 poets in his court. And the foremost among them was Bhai Nandlal Goya, who used to write poetry in Agra. He's from Afghanistan, today's Afghanistan, but he had a desire to go serve as a poet in the court of Guru Gobind Singh in Anandpur Sahib. He says, so there's a poetry training. There is battle training. It's called Holla Mahalla, which is coming up as well, which means how do you fight mock battles? Yeah, that's the warrior part. But I want to tell you what, there's a scribing training.
What do you mean, how do you fight mock battles?
So how do you fight battles? So there are mock battles for it. No? We call them trainings these days.
Okay.
Exercises.
Got it.
So Holla Mahalla, from a holy, it became Holla Mahalla. Holla Mahalla is the attack. How do you prepare to attack? That's a tradition which is even today celebrated in Anandpur Sahib. So when you see those kripans and the colors and the large turbans and the chakkars on the head, that's one element. I want to tell you 5 other elements. So there's a training of poetry. There's a training of music. How do you sing? He's doing that too. And he's also doing trainings on how do you fight. But I'm going to use the word fight to describe something now, which is why I have issue with just calling ourselves. Look, Sikhs are being presented, even by Sikhs themselves, not as warriors only. They've actually become fighters. And there's a big difference between a fighter and a warrior. Warrior is trained not to fight. Fighter is always fighting. Warrior is very settled. Warrior has, as we will call today, a loaded Glock, but not shooting. They're not trigger happy. But they know, they're trained not to use it. That's how you have to think for warriors. They have a code. And the adversary also respects that code because they know this is not a fighter. He actually is a warrior. That's what Sikhs were. Our narrative has been changed. Some Sikhs have themselves changed the narrative. They present themselves as fighters now. We are not. Today we have garbs which define sons. It's the behavior. Your demonstration in life defines if you're a sant or not. Living the truth exemplar. So that's the sant part. Sipahi is the soldier part. The one who's trained in first tradition. And then it's a hyphenated word, which means they're equally balanced. It's like a ship. Why do you have the equalizing bars? Because if either side gets heavy, you're drowning. That's the Sikh training. The spiritual, political is equal. One or the other cannot dominate, and that's imbalance. And then you will drown.
New clips released at the same time that a podcast releases. This is TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe.